Wildfire Chapter 5, Beautiful Music. Okay, let's be clear. What I've stumbled upon is an old logging road, not much wider than a trail, cut through the forest long ago to bring out lumber. How do I know that? Because my dad was a trucker, and when he was young, he drove for paper companies in Snowkegan, hauling pulpwood out of the forest and taking it to the mills for processing. Dangerous work, driving heavy loaded trucks on dirt trails. Make a mistake and the truck can flip over, with all those heavy logs crushing the cab. This particular road is pretty overgrown, looks like it hasn't been used in years, so it's not like I can stick out my thumb and hitch a ride. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure that logging roads eventually connect with the main road. They'd have to bring the wood to the paper mill, right? So it's really important that I choose the right direction. Go the wrong way, the old road will likely take me deeper into the woods. Which way? I have no idea. How could I? Make your decision and stick to it. Thanks, Dad, but that doesn't really help. In the end, I flip a coin in my head and turn left. The old trail winds through the forest under a canopy of green leaves. Mossy, rotting stumps squat alongside the old trail. More proof that loggers worked this road back in the day. A lot of the paper mills have closed, which is why my father switched over to bulk tanker trucking before I was born. Hauled everything from milk to gasoline. Made a good living, but nothing like the money they paid him to drive gas tankers in Afghanistan for as long as it lasted. Combat pay, even though he was a civilian. Money intended for my college fund and to save for a bigger house, so I'm at least partly to blame for why he took the job in the first place. But I'd rather not think about that. Concentrate on covering ground while I've got the chance. The light is dim, this far into the woods and getting dimmer. And the thirst is starting to make me feel lightheaded. They say being dehydrated can mess with your mind, and thinking straight will help me stay alive. So I need to find water, and fast. There has to be water in leaves, right? A drop or two? Tearing a few leaves off a bush, I stuff them into my mouth and chew. Not to swallow, just to squeeze a little moisture into my mouth and throat. But the taste is so awful I try to spit it out. A piece of leaf sticks in the back of my throat and makes me gag and cough some more. When it finally comes loose, I'm able to catch my breath. That coughing fit makes me stop and remember something important we learned in camp. When you're lost in the woods, you have to think and plan, or risk dying of exposure, which can happen if your body temperature gets out of whack, either too hot or cold, or if you don't get enough water. Use your brain or die, that's the rule. Our camp counselor explained the danger, but most of us already knew. Every year, tons of hikers and hunters get lost in the woods of Maine, and we hear about it on TV. Usually they get rescued, but not always, which makes me remember one of those stories about a Girl Scout who got separated from her troop in a foggy day and how she found water by following the mosquitoes. Because mosquitoes are never far from water. Smart girl. Never before have I wanted to get bit by mosquitoes, but here I am, trudging along an old logging road in the dying light, so thirsty it hurts. If getting bit by a few mosquitoes is what it takes to find water, so be it. Come for me, you whiny little monsters. Lead me to water. Lead me to life. I never do get bit, but as I concentrate on listening for the annoying telltale whine of a mosquito, I hear something. Much, much better. A sound more beautiful than music, the gurgle of running water. It's coming from deep in the brush just off the logging trail. I approach slow and careful, thinking about snakes, if you must know. There are no poisonous snakes in Maine, according to our camp counselor, but I don't care to meet one, poisonous or not. What I find looks at first like the stump of a giant tree surrounded by thick green ferns, but it turns out it's actually an old spring. The low circular sides are mossy bricks that look like wood in the dim light. The top is a big round cover made of thick, rough-sawn planks. Part of the brick siding is crumbled away, and that's where the water is leaking out, finding the ferns. By then, I'm on my hands and knees, mouth jammed up against those mossy bricks, slurping down cool, clear water. Beautiful water. Blessed water. Best tasting water that there ever was. I drink until my belly is full, tight as a drum, and I'm woozy with the thrill of it. So satisfied that I'm tempted to curl up next to the spring and go to sleep. Might have done it, too, if I thought didn't bob to the surface and fight for attention. What's a man-made spring doing in the middle of nowhere? The brick sides and thick wooden cover had been built for a purpose, to keep the water clean and contained. Shift that cover and water could be drawn out by the bucketful. But why here? And for who? Only one answer makes sense. The spring was built for the same men who had cut this logging road into the woods, lumbermen from the lumber camps, which gets me back on my feet and hurrying along the trail with hope in my heart.